Well, this is going to be fun, Captain Hughes muttered as he strapped into his combat suit, a wry smile playing on his lips. The Galactic Council, a coalition of alien races, had never quite understood humans. They had seen Earth as a backwater planet, barely advanced enough to be considered a threat. Yet, the Council had underestimated humanity's resilience and capacity for vengeance. Their latest mistake was torturing captured human soldiers, a move they would soon regret. In the cramped confines of the UES Retribution, Hughes and his men prepared for what they knew would be a brutal conflict. The message from Earth had been clear. The mission briefing replayed in Hughes's mind. The Council had captured several human soldiers during a skirmish on the outer rim of the Milky Way. The torture was not just physical but psychological, intended to break the human spirit and send a message of dominance. The Council's broadcast had shown the battered faces of the soldiers, their eyes hollow from the relentless torment. "They think we're weak," Sergeant Grimm said, his voice a low growl. "They think they can break us, and we'll just lie down and take it." Hughes nodded. "They've never met the real us. They think we're soft because we try to avoid war. They don't understand that we're more dangerous when we're pushed." The Retribution exited hyperspace near the Council stronghold, a massive space station orbiting a dead planet. The plan was simple: hit hard, hit fast, and rescue the captured soldiers. Earth's military had sanctioned the use of all necessary force. There would be no negotiations, no attempts at diplomacy. This was a message written in blood. "Final checks," Hughes ordered. "We go in 5. The men around him moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine. They had trained for years for this kind of mission, and their anger gave them a lethal edge. Each soldier knew the stakes, knew that failure was not an option. 3 minutes to drop, the pilot's voice crackled over the comm. "Good luck, gentlemen." The drop pods ejected from the Retribution like metallic meteors, streaking towards the Council station. Hughes felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as the pod shook violently during re-entry. He gripped his rifle tighter, his mind focused on the mission ahead. The pod landed with a bone-jarring thud, and the hatch blew open. Hughes and his team surged out, weapons at the ready. The station's corridors were eerily quiet, the only sound the hum of the station's machinery. "Move out," Hughes barked. The team advanced, their footsteps muffled by the tactical boots designed for silent movement. They encountered their first resistance at a security checkpoint. Alien guards, a mix of species, scrambled to respond to the sudden intrusion. The firefight was brief and brutal, the humans' superior training and equipment overwhelming the defenders. As they pushed deeper into the station, Hughes's mind kept returning to the broadcast images of the tortured soldiers. He had known some of them personally, men who had shown incredible bravery under fire. The thought of them being subjected to such cruelty fueled his resolve. "Command center is up ahead," Corporal Lee reported, consulting his handheld scanner. "Heavy defenses. Then we go through them," Hughes said. "No mercy." The final approach to the command center was a gauntlet of automated turrets and entrenched alien troops. Hughes and his men moved with ruthless efficiency, using grenades and coordinated tactics to clear a path. The corridor was littered with the bodies of fallen guards, human and alien blood mingling on the cold metal floor. When they reached the command center door, Hughes planted a breaching charge and signaled his team to take cover. The explosion rocked the station, and the heavy door crumpled inward. Hughes led the charge, his rifle spitting death at anything that moved. The command center was a hive of activity. Alien officers scrambled to respond to the sudden attack. Hughes's men cut them down without hesitation, their faces set in grim determination. In the center of the room was the Council's chief torturer, a reptilian creature with a cruel glint in its eyes. Hughes felt a surge of anger as he recognized the creature from the broadcast. "You!" Hughes shouted, advancing on the torturer. "Your reign of terror ends here." The torturer hissed and drew a weapon, but Hughes was faster. His rifle barked once, and the torturer crumpled to the floor, lifeless. "Secure the area," Hughes ordered, "and find those prisoners." The team spread out, securing the command center and accessing the station systems. Hughes watched as the station schematics appeared on a nearby console, showing the location of the holding cells. "Got them," Grimm said, pointing to the map. "Let's move." The holding cells were deep within the station, a labyrinthine series of corridors and security doors. Hughes and his team moved with purpose, cutting down any resistance they encountered. The sound of distant alarms echoed through the halls, a cacophony of panic and chaos. When they reached the cells, Hughes felt a wave of relief. The prisoners were there, battered but alive. The soldiers rushed to free their comrades, providing medical aid and equipment. "You're safe now," Hughes said, helping a soldier to his feet. "We're getting you out of here." The soldier, a young man with haunted eyes, nodded. "Thank you, sir. They didn't break us." Hughes smiled grimly. "No, they didn't. And now it's our turn to show them what that means." As they made their way back to the extraction point, the station's defenders mounted a desperate counterattack. Hughes and his men fought with the ferocity of cornered beasts, their anger and resolve turning them into a relentless force. The corridors were filled with the sound of battle, the air thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and ozone. "Almost there," Grim said, firing a burst at a group of advancing guards. "Just a little further." Hughes nodded, his focus unwavering. The message from Earth had been clear. Run. And the Galactic Council was about to learn just how serious that warning was. The extraction point was a chaotic battlefield, with explosions and energy bolts lighting up the dimly lit docking bay. The Council forces, realizing the gravity of the situation, had thrown everything they had at the humans. Hughes's team fought with unrelenting fury, their determination shining through the chaos. "Cover the flanks!" Hughes shouted over the din, his voice steady despite the intensity of the fight. "We need to hold this position until the dropship arrives." Grimes was at his side, his rifle spitting out precise bursts of fire. "They're not making it easy, Captain. We've got heavy resistance on the left." Hughes took a quick glance, assessing the situation. Alien troops were pouring in from multiple entry points, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm the humans. "Lee, get those charges set on the bulkheads. We need to funnel them." Lee nodded and sprinted to the designated points, planting explosive charges that would create controlled choke points, forcing the enemy into narrow corridors where their numbers would count for less. As the charges detonated, the docking bay shook and clouds of debris filled the air. Alien soldiers were thrown into disarray, giving the humans a brief respite. Hughes took the opportunity to rally his men, their spirits lifted by the temporary advantage. "Hold your ground," he commanded. "We've got reinforcements coming, and we're not leaving anyone behind." The freed prisoners, still weak from their ordeal, took up weapons and joined the fight. Their eyes, once hollow and defeated, now burned with a desire for retribution. They fought with a fervor that matched their rescuers. Every shot fired was a small piece of vengeance for the suffering they had endured. In the midst of the battle, Hughes spotted the silhouette of the Council's flagship looming outside the docking bay's force field. It was a menacing sight, bristling with weaponry and exuding an aura of dread. But it also signaled that the Council was taking the human threat seriously, which meant their mission was hitting where it hurt. A transmission crackled over Hughes's comm. "Retribution to ground team. We're 2 minutes out. Hold tight." Hughes relayed the message to his men, the news giving them a renewed surge of energy. They fought with even greater intensity, knowing that salvation was just within reach. The Council's forces were relentless. However, wave after wave of alien soldiers pressed the attack, their determination matched only by the humans' resolve. The docking bay was a maelstrom of violence, the air thick with smoke and the stench of burning metal. "Grimes, on your 6!" Hughes shouted, firing at an alien soldier sneaking up on the sergeant. Grim spun around, finishing off the attacker with a quick burst. "Thanks, Cap," Grim said, breathing heavily. "These bastards don't know when to quit." "They're scared," Hughes replied, "and they should be." As the dropship roared into the docking bay, its heavy guns blazing, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Council's troops faltered, their lines breaking under the combined assault from the dropship and the ground team. The human soldiers wasted no time loading the wounded and the freed prisoners onto the dropship with practiced efficiency. "Get everyone aboard," Hughes ordered, covering the retreat with Grimes and Lee. "We're almost out of this hellhole." The last of the prisoners were loaded, and Hughes signaled for his men to fall back. The dropship's engines roared to life, lifting off with a surge of power. As the docking bay receded beneath them, Hughes allowed himself a moment of relief. They had done it. They had struck a blow against the Galactic Council, rescued their comrades, and sent a message that humanity was not to be trifled with. But Hughes knew the fight was far from over. The Council would not take this lightly. The war was just beginning, and humanity would need to be ready for what came next. As the Retribution prepared to jump back to Earth, Hughes looked around at his men. They were battered and bruised, but their spirits were unbroken. In their eyes, he saw the same fire that had carried humanity through countless challenges. It was a fire that would burn brighter with each battle, forging a new chapter in human history, one where humanity would no longer be underestimated. "Good work, everyone," Hughes said, his voice steady despite the weight of what lay ahead. "Let's go home."